Okay, welcome. Part two. If it's really a part two, is it really a part two? It's not really a part two. I hate editing. I'm sorry. I really recommend you guys watching everything at 2x speed for your own sake. This will be for. Let me pull it back up. Avisuper's submission. Also, thank you to having the courage to go through with making a pen anyway. I actually really appreciate that you decided to participate. Like regardless, even though you having doubts or like whatever, like it was right. Like I think a lot of people might have missed the point that like me grading you should be something that you should be proud of because you were willing to take the time to do this. And I remember him sending me a picture of how he like cracked his nail and he was bleeding, and I felt so, I feel so bad. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry that happened to you. Um, yeah. Don't want to ramble too much. Let's go ahead and move forward for like complexity. There doesn't seem to be too much complexity. It almost reminds me of an I suck and boss. If I'm doing like glancing, looking at it, this is like what I think, and this is how I feel so far. Um, I kind of am a little concerned that there's like a bump in between. Maybe, well, maybe not. Because of the spinning space, I do like that. Like, I wish that this was a little bit more cleaner. It's like it appears to be trying to like separate itself. If that could have been a little bit more flush, that would have been great. Because this is really nice that like there's that curved transition from this piece over to the body, and I really like when mods have like smoother transitions, like for like different circumference sizes. So that was really nice to see. I think my only biggest concern is that I feel like this small grip here might not be exactly the same size, and the picture is really doing it really hard for its justice. Um, I can't tell, but there's specs here and there. I have questions on how cleanly made it was, and then there is this one glaring piece that it isn't flush. In fact, it's not flush on both sides, but the middle does seem to appear to be flush. I didn't get like any crazy descriptions when I received the submission for this pen. Originality, it just reminds me so much of an ice like boss, but just with black grips instead. But I do notice that Crayola piece here. It's clearly a different body of some sort. I actually, ironically, cannot tell. I think it's a Gyoto body. I'm pretty competent that that's the case. I don't. I do like that there are like multiple circumferences going throughout this mod. Uh, because it kind of like fits in with kind of like how the flow of if you were to like if you're spinning and transitioning. Not that spinning is how spinnable the mod is graded, but when you look at the complexity on the thought process, right, on the circumference um consideration um for like a mod itself, there was clearly thought put into it. I think it would have been kind of nice if maybe this was like cleaned off with like acetone. That's not gonna dock you points, but like just like for presentation purposes, I figured I'd bring it up. Complexity, I don't know if it's really that complex. I think that's what I'm torn about. I can't see the ends of it because this is the only photo I received. I wager the complexity is probably like around like 4, 3 to 4. There was definitely thought on how to get this body onto it. Same with like the connecting piece, but it doesn't seem like it's anything outlandish. So we're gonna give it a 4. Originality is is it that original though? It has the generic look of a lot of performance mods, and there's nothing wrong with it. But it deeply reminds me of an Ice and Boss, but with like a slight twist to it, if that makes any sense. So it's not crazy original. And I really can't tell what the center grip is. I'm very curious of like the construction. I really wish you would have like sent more pictures. Because that's a really good way for me to gauge how original a mod is. Also, sorry if I'm like still coughing because I'm still getting over from being sick. Originality, I'm probably gonna give it also a 4. It just reminds me of so many elements of like an Ice and Boss, and I can't seem to like use any other pictures to escape that like mindset. Cleanliness. So if we're starting from 10, we're docking points. That's 2, so that's already 8. And that's on both sides, and it seems inconsistent. I don't know if you use tape or not. So there's some concern with that. So that's already 7. The grip size, there's some specs here and there. I can kind of vividly see that these probably weren't cut super evenly. It's like a 6. And this could be hiding a lot of like stuff here and there. But this was the main piece of the main body was cut perfectly. So honestly, the Crayola was probably also equally cut just as fine. I mean, you can do pretty clean cuts with pipe cutters nowadays, right? But in terms of the grips, that's probably the grips and how cleanly these were connected. That's probably the main driving factor. So I'd probably give it like, whole thing probably like 5. That's probably my final. Yeah, that's my final take on it, and then which totals the score to 13. Okay. Again, I'm so sorry you cracked your nail and then you ended up bleeding, man. But no, really appreciate you taking the time to compete and to submit a pen. But yeah, if you have any questions, send them my way. Okay, perfect. On to the last one.